Hello and welcome to this Project in a Box video session. This is the third of the detailed videos looking at the new features of 5.2 multi-user platforms. In the first session we looked at history collection and trend analysis. The second session we looked at pack of standard reports and Scrum method, and in this session we're going to be looking at the integration extensions and two-factor authentication. So just reminding ourselves a little bit about that, two different integration extensions here, a capability which exports blocks of data to other systems that can be on demand via web service request or on cut and paste, and also an extension to the ability to export project documentation, perhaps to a knowledge management system. And two-factor authentication, this is giving you extra security in terms of authenticating your users, not just through a username and password, but also through a memorable word, and that works on browser and Windows app. So let's go and have a look at those. So in the Windows application, and these the extension activities are only working from the Windows application, the setting up of them, that is. So they're admin features. So we're going to come down here and export project properties, and we can see that in this area we can set up packets of data. These are what we call export items, and they are a combination of a portfolio, and that defines the collection of projects we're interested in, and a property view, and that defines the properties from the property database that we're going to package up for that set of projects. So if you like, we're creating a data grid, projects and then properties from those. So this is extracting from the properties grid. It's not extracting raw plan data. This is going to be summary statistics for the project. And so we can edit those if we want to, or we can add a new one by simply selecting the items from the list here. And then we can see what that data package is going to look like if it's requested right now. So let's grab that one here. And we can see it shows us it in a number of different formats because we generated a number of formats, because there's a number of formats you might want to use it in. The HTML preview is really useful here for previewing it, so we can see what the projects are, and we can see what the properties are that are there, and we can also see if there are any totalizing rules set up as part of that view. But this is the package of data that will be produced. Actually, we produce it in two formats which are the most useful for data exchange: XML and CSV. Now, of course, from this preview, for really quick exchange, you can just grab this and you can copy the CSV and drop it in somewhere else. Or, of course, copy the HTML if you want the sort of richer view of that and drop it in somewhere else. So you don't have to spend loads of time handshaking all your web services, etc. You can just grab the data and put it into something else or send it to something else. However, in the longer term, people probably do want to handshake these things, and so this can be operated by an incoming web service. So your other application will send a web service with handshaking information, security, obviously verifications, and the name of the packet of data that it wants, the export item, and that will then activate the system to produce the packet and return it as XML to the other machine. So you can just come in and grab whatever data you want. You can set up however many of these packets you want. If you want, it can be every single property for every single project, one single packet. But often they're going into different systems wanting different things, so you can set that up to match your particular requirements. Very flexible, very easy to do, and you don't even have to, like I say, go to that full handshaking development type activity if you don't want to. You can just use this as a way of getting blocks of data out nice and easily to give to somebody else. Really nice and easy to use. The other one is advanced project export. Now, we've had project export in here for a long time, and it's actually a very popular thing. The standard project export just gets the current project and it grabs every version of every file used in that project, as well as the current reporting set of properties, and it exports all that to a folder, and it creates a little HTML navigator which sits in that folder as well. So when you open that folder, you get the HTML navigator. It allows you to go through history versions of files or latest versions of files, navigate by process structure or alphabetic through that content, and it's really used for archiving projects most commonly. So that you can write all that to a CD or whatever and stick it in the box with the hard copy documents for the project, because many people have an archiving requirement. Some people, though, have been using it to feed a knowledge management system. So you get all the documents from the project, you upload those into a knowledge management system because they have a corporate requirement to store long-term in an accessible format all documents produced by the organisation. However, of course, if you're doing that every 3 months or something, you're going to be duplicating content. So this advanced one is about helping you manage that sort of injection to a knowledge management system in a slightly better, more sophisticated way. So here we've got advanced project export, and this is allowing us to choose a set of projects. So we'll do it for multiple projects at once if we want to, and we can choose via portfolio. So I could choose a portfolio here, and then I could narrow that down to just a particular set of projects I wanted. And again, of course, there's nothing to stop us having a portfolio with all the projects in, grabbing everything like that. And we then decide what we want to call that export folder. And we can then choose whether we want to include the navigation panes, which we probably don't if we're going just for knowledge management insert. And we can choose to just include the latest versions. Now that's a really popular thing. So in this model, we've got 6 or 7 projects, latest versions of all those files dropped into a folder, and that package is then set up to load in to your knowledge management system. And that's matching pretty precisely what most customers do around this sort of area. So a little bit more sophistication for customers who are having that sort of requirement. Okay, so that's the extensions. Now we're going to have a look at two-factor authentication. So for two-factor authentication, I'm going to show you this as a different user because I want to show you the whole setup process. I'm obviously already logged in and authenticated in that way. So I'm going to log in as a different user here, user Alan. This is when we're using our username password type authentication. If we're using single sign-on, we don't activate the memorable word two-factor authentication approach. So this is for, if you like, the more simple authentications currently. And it's optional, so you don't have to do it, you can choose to do it. So I'm logging in as Alan here, and I log in as Alan, and it recognizes that Alan hasn't yet got a memorable word set up. So if you switch this on in your system, this is the first thing you're going to see. You can't complete your login until you set a memorable word. So I'm going to set a memorable word here, and I can give myself a hint like that. And you can see what word I've set, which is Christmas, and I can save my memorable word. Now when I want to complete my login as Alan, I'm required to put in characters from my memorable word. Like that. And that failed, so it's checking to make sure that I know what I'm doing properly. And if I don't get it quite right, it makes me do it again. And then I'm in. So now I've had to go through that second set of authentication. The first is username, password, and the second is my memorable word. And I'll have to do that every time I log in. So here we are in the browser interface. We're going to see the same sort of thing again. I'll of course have to do my first part of my authentication, which is my username, password, and then I'll be required to do my memorable word again. Same approach as before. So like I say, you can use it on either if you want to, or both, and it'll give you that extra layer of control and authentication over who logs in to your system. And it's really easy to set up once you've switched it on the server. Each user will just be required to set one as they come in. Of course, once users are in, actually they can reset their memorable words if they want to from their own account as well. Okay, I hope you found that interesting and helpful. We of course have covered 5 different areas here in terms of new functionality within version 5.2, and in quite a lot of depth, so hopefully you'll have found that enough to be able to go away and try it all out. If you've got any further questions, just drop us an email and let us know. We'll be happy to go through it in some more detail. Obviously this isn't a full coverage of what the system does, it's just the new facilities that you can take advantage of. Thank you very much.